guys, welcome back. I'm Lacey with A&B Insurance, and this is Carl with Working the Web to Win. And we are here today to talk to you about hurricane insurance and how to prepare if a hurricane is coming our way.
Yeah, actually, the viewers can't see it, but if you look out our window right now, it's like getting ready to
It
hurricane
looks like a
out
hurricane
there.
today. It sure does.
South. If you hear any thunder in the background, we're not foleying it in. It's for real. And of course, living in Florida, we're like the hurricane capital of the world.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I remember like one year, what was it, 2004? We had like 4 of them back to back to back.
It was pretty bad, yeah. It was a rough one.
Yeah, and in fact, that was the funny thing is my parents had just moved down here from New Jersey, and after the fourth, and they go, "That's it, we're going back." But they didn't, and we've had a couple of them the last few years, but there was about a 10-year gap in there when we didn't have any, and that's
Right.
the thing, you don't know when you're going to get them. People tend to get complacent, and that's when you get in trouble.
You feel like we haven't had one for 6 or 7 years, everything feels safe, everything feels comfortable, and then we have 2 or 3 in 1 year that can really do a lot of damage to a lot of your property and a lot of different types of properties, commercial buildings, your personal home, your vehicle. A hurricane can really damage anything in its path. So if you have something that you need protected in a hurricane, you definitely want to have coverage on your policy that will help you if a hurricane does damage your property.
Yeah, but more important than that, you don't want to wait until the last minute to go down there and get your hurricane supplies because that's when they're all running short. I mean, you can't get
Right.
batteries for love or money
Right.
within 12 hours, heck, 12 minutes of them announcing that there's going to be
Right.
a named storm heading our way because
Oh,
people
yeah.
just take those things off the shelf. We've been having the problems with the COVID with the toilet paper, but during the hurricanes, you can't get batteries, you can't get plywood,
Bottled water.
bottled waters at a premium.
Canned food, everything,
Right.
yeah.
And depending on whether you decide to stay or leave, either way, you still need to protect, your assets.
Yes, absolutely. And you can end up in the same position in insurance, like all of those crazy people waiting in line to buy everything they can. A lot of people scramble to buy hurricane insurance around that time too. And it doesn't make a difference in price when you buy it, but it really does make a difference on the open availability of the market. The closer we get to an actual hurricane making landfall, a lot of companies will actually close up and not sell any insurance during an amount of time before or after a hurricane. So you want to make sure that you have that already taken care of before we have the potential to have a large storm.
Well, plus, isn't there like a 30-day waiting period anyway for it to come into effect?
There can be with some carriers. That's more generally about flood insurance.
Okay, but not with hurricanes?
Right. With
okay.
hurricane insurance, if you have an active policy, some of our companies will allow you to add the coverage midterm if you don't have it. Some of them will make you wait until the policy renews or you have to write a new policy to get it.
Right.
So it's important to ask about that when you set up your insurance first. Whether you live in the home, whether you rent it out, or it's a short-term rental, all of them should have that hurricane coverage on them.
Yeah, or right now if you're not sure.
If you're not sure right now, pick up the phone and give me a call, and we will go over all of the details with you guys.
Yeah, let's talk about some other things that people should do right now because, again, we are in hurricane season, so it could happen anytime. What kind of preparations should people make for hurricanes?
So right now, since it is height of the hurricane season, we do suggest that everyone goes out and slowly starts buying the items they'll need to stay safe and whole while they're in their home. Buy a case of water every week, or once a month buy a case, so you're not buying 8 or 9 at one time and then no one else can buy any. You definitely want to stock up on your canned foods, stuff that you don't have to heat up, things you don't have to put in the oven that are ready to eat. Batteries, you always want to have batteries. Candles, one big thing that was going around on the internet is if you can't find any candles, crayons will actually burn up to, I believe, 3 hours per crayon. So that can be helpful if you find yourself in a no lighting, no candle situation too.
If you can get them away from your kids.
Exactly, if you can talk the kids into giving them up. So you do want to be prepared, and if you don't plan on staying, we do recommend having what's called a bug out bag.
Absolutely.
So if you have to leave immediately, if your
Absolutely.
area is under high risk, high watch, have a bag ready. Make sure that you have your personal identification, any documents that are important, like your birth certificates, your children's birth certificates, passports, IDs, deeds. People like to keep their home deeds with them as well because that's an important document to have if it's the original.
Right.
Make sure that you have enough gasoline in your vehicle to get you to your destination or at least to the next closest gas place because gas shortages can be a big thing during a hurricane.
Yeah.
Everyone's trying to get out of Dodge.
Yeah, also, if you have pets, you want to make sure you take all their inoculation certificates because if you try to shelter someplace you don't have that, they might not let you in.
Oh yeah, and one of the big things that PetSmart's doing now for people that have to travel on urgent notice is they have what's called a pet passport. So you can actually get your pet passport, and it's just like a person's passport. You put your dog's picture in there, and you take it to your vet, and they'll fill out all of that information for their recent shots and inoculations.
Have you ever had to bug out?
I personally have not had to bug out.
I did.
I like to stay
Yeah.
just because Florida,
Yeah. Well, but it depends on where you live, because if you're living really close to the shore, they're going to demand that you leave.
Yes.
And I had to do that one time, and so I ended up getting stuck with me and 100,000 of my best friends on the highway because it very quickly log jammed,
Oh yeah.
and people were running out of gas and abandoning their cars. But see, I was smart. I packed not only the bug out bag, I packed a full set of camping gear.
Awesome.
But like I said, because the worst thing is to have you and the family and the dogs, everything else stuck in the car.
Yes,
That
absolutely.
can be really uncomfortable. So, like I said, it's a good idea to pack some extra gear, including some camping equipment.
Absolutely, and that can include things like sleeping bags, pillows, something for the kids or the dogs to play with in the car to keep themselves entertained, so everybody doesn't get agitated and irritated being in the car for maybe a whole day.
Right.
It depends on where you're going and how bad the traffic can be, which it can be bad during
Oh, yeah.
hurricanes.
I actually lived in the New Orleans area. I moved out just a few years before Katrina came and called. But a lot of times, if a hurricane really hits hard, you won't even be allowed back in your neighborhood for a while. And then by the time you get back there, the destruction can be ungodly. So what do you do if you come back and you find out that you have been hit? What's the first thing that somebody should do as far as an insurance claim is
If the
concerned?
hurricane has affected your home in a way that makes it unlivable, you do want to immediately get on the phone with claims department with your insurance company. You can find this information on your declarations page. They'll usually have it right on the front page, customer service and then claims, so you know immediately who to call. Once you call, they're going to get you straight over to an adjuster to start going over the details of what happened. They're going to get together with an inspection company and get out there and take a look at the damage of your property. In the meantime, depending on your coverage, most insurance companies do have what's called loss of use coverage on your policy, meaning they'll pay for somewhere else for you to live,
important.
a hotel or a rental home or whatever you need to go until your home's repaired from the damage.
Now, will renter's insurance do that if you don't own your home? If you're a
Renter's insurance does have loss of use coverage. It's usually less than what you would have on a normal homeowner's policy, but yes, it will cover you if you need to go somewhere else.
Well, it's better than nothing, because or else it's all coming out of pocket. And that
Right.
can get deep fast.
Absolutely. And if you have $4,000 in loss of use coverage, that could cover you for up to $4,000 of hotel expenses or a short-term rental period, whatever you need to do until you get your home redone so you can live in it again.
Okay. So is there any other advice that you'd care to share with the viewing public about hurricane season?
Always be prepared. Always have a plan. Always have your bug out bag ready. Even if you are going to stay, we do recommend thorough planning for you and your family members. Even if it's just you by yourself, make sure that you have a backup battery for your cell phone in case you don't have power for a few days. If you're with your family, make sure obviously you have enough food, you have enough water, some kind of way to communicate if your phone battery goes out and you don't have a way to charge it, such as one of the little radios. You can get them at Walmart for about $25 now per radio, so you can keep in contact with people around you with other radios. Now they do have the self-charging wind-up radios
Right,
that
I've
you
got
can
one of
use.
those, right.
Oh yeah, that way you can hear what's going on the news if your electricity is still out. Contact someone if you have relatives out of state, just to kind of keep checking up on you, let them know what your situation is from day to day. If you're feeling uncomfortable, if you feel like it's not safe, express that to your relatives so they know what's going on and what your situation is. I actually had a friend that got stuck in the Bahamas back when
Wow.
the last one we had
Yeah,
came,
yeah.
and she was down there doing veterinary school, and she was without a cell phone for about 2 weeks. They had no power,
Oh, I know.
nothing.
It
So-
obliterates some of those islands.
Yes, she had no way of getting in contact with anyone here in the States for about 2 weeks,
Yep.
and it was very scary.
Yeah. And last but not least, again, don't wait until the last minute to get your supplies, start boarding up your home. Because that's the other problem, too. If you try to bug out, if you wait too long, you're going to get stuck, and that's
Right.
not fun.
Absolutely.
Take it from the guy who's been there.
Absolutely. And one of the other big things is that when you live in Florida, we do have evacuation routes for storms that'll take you to your safest destination as quickly as possible. And those are usually labeled along the road, so you can find those very easily.
All right.
Perfect.
See you next week.
Thanks.